Hello, I'm John Joe, welcome to Line War, and today we've got a free-for-all that we actually organised and set up ourselves. So if you noticed on YouTube, I set up a post saying on the 25th of May, we'd be playing a free-for-all and get as many people as we can. We managed to get 6 people in total, including myself, so that's 5 people. Thank you guys for joining. We have Valathor in blue, who claims this island. I was tempted to start over here, but I knew like if I start here and do an infantry rush through the forest, it probably wouldn't work against Valathor. But we'll turn off those and put commands on. So, as you may notice, I can't seem to get commands on. It will not show me the commands. There we go, right. So, as you can see, right in the top left corner of the screen, we have Antidote over here against Vasvas. And if I remember correctly, he was like 10-minute peace timer to start with, and Antidote was like, nah. Though I don't know how that actually played out in the top, because I am down here as orange. I was worried green was going to start here and red was going to start here. But as you can see, a player called the color red, who is red, started up on this island over here. And they are going to get a city pretty quickly. And they're going to be able to cut across this border here. The water here, sorry. Valathor is on this section of the map as blue team. And, well, he's got the entire island to himself. This is not how I wanted this map to play out, to be honest. As my mouse disappears. So, I was expecting a few people, maybe 2 or 3 people to fight over this section, giving some time for the people over here to fight over this section. Because one side is so much bigger, thought it might be decent and have it going, but Valathor took one whole entire island to himself. As you can see, Antidote is now pressing against Vasvas. I'm going to speed up the timer for a bit, just to get into the motion. Vasvas has gone for some factories in the mountains, which is very good because he's got the artillery here, which is going to be able to push forward slowly through the mountains. However, there aren't too much of it, so if Antidote was able to bring his units around this side, which it looks like Vasvas is expecting, and it's what Antidote is actually going to be trying to do. You can see where they are. And he's going to be trying to get through around the mountains instead. As per everyone else, they're pretty much just expanding. I went for tanks to start with because, especially with Valathor in the game, he always tells me to go for tanks over artillery. And he's usually right, but I'm just generally better with artillery and infantry than I am with tanks, but I've been trying a few things out generally. Trying to improve my game with tanks. It looks like Antidote's attack has failed. The defensive lines in the section over here have succeeded for Vas. I'm just going to call him Vas instead of doubling his name. The colour red has moved over the water. He's now getting some territory over here. Encountered, I'm going to call this guy Bob. I think I wanted to say it was Nubs, but I think this is actually different characters here, but I can't read that language, so I don't know. But yeah, so Bob is going for barracks over here, and he's getting some commandos out, along with normal infantry, so they're producing half and half, and they've got quite a few around. And I do try to rush in there, thinking that because he's got the energy wells here and potentially here, I wanted to try and take out the energy, or at least know if there's energy there, so I know what they were going to be doing. So I'm trying to sneak my tanks around. Over here, though, Valathor is happy just expanding the entire map down this side of it. And already they've noticed they are on their own. So they're getting some boats out and trying to cut across the land. You can see already here they've got it all set up, ready to go. Though he does have tanks on the front bit here. The tanks won't be able to get across here to be able to take the land, because you need basic units, is the only way I can say it. Ground-based units that don't need energy to capture via boats. Tanks can only be deployed to territories that you own. My units have encountered Vas, and Vas is bringing down some units this way to try to stop my forces moving up there. My tanks are still going in towards Bob, and I end up trying to sneak around, trying to find out any other sites, and I realised that if I go up here I couldn't find anything. I did spot the barracks here though and take that out with a strike command as it passed by. But I assumed he must have started down here, and I was just trying to find his structures. Which didn't quite go as well as I had planned. If I had managed to find this forest a bit better, I should have drove straight through it. Most people build in the forest and on mountains, so I should have just drove straight through it. Now Antidote, though, is having to deal with some of Red's forces. They don't have too much in the way on this land here, so they're not going to worry too much, and Bob is closing in on them. I think Red's move, though, would be to try and stop Valithor. If they could stop Valithor over there, that could stop him from trying to take over this side of the map. Being uncontested over there, he's got a serious advantage on his hands. Now, I do manage to get some units underneath Bob over here, trying to get through this little arm of land. And Bob is getting towns up, so they're trying to build up their eco. And is having to deal with Valithor's invasion, which is currently only SAM units. I just heard something blow up. I'm not quite sure what it was. Probably my own tanks, to be fair. But at this point, I'm still kind of struggling because I've got like a Shroud of War, Fog of War going around this area, so I'm not sure where everyone is yet. I know Valithor's, not Valithor, sorry, Vass is moving down this way. And I don't know how distracted he is up in the north, which is the same for everyone in this game. I've got some commandos sneaking out for Antidote around this side, and considering Antidote was stuck in the corner for this game, right behind Vass, they've done a really good job at trying to keep them away and trying to expand at the same time. Usually that's an impossible position to win, just because you're stuck, and without any energy or anything to go in your favour, it becomes a real problem. I do have a tank on a town over here, and I'm circling around, trying to make sure I keep the tank alive. Up in the north, though, Antidote is pushing down towards Bob over here. And Valithor has now got a foothold on this land and is just outright producing a ton of factories. A bit relentless there. He's already got 1,000 economy. Let's go for everyone's economy at the minute. So Valithor's economy is at 1,100. The colour red has 486. I thought with a city it might be a bit more than that. But they just don't have the land to deal with it. But they do have a rocket on the way. So for me, I'm doing terrible. We've got 590. And I'm already in the negatives over there. But I am just trying to fight my way through this. So Bob is currently on 740. So he's kind of close to Valithor. So if anyone teamed up on him, they'd be able to actually stop him with enough people. Vass is on 500. Did I skip Antidote then? Antidote is on 470. Mostly because they're stuck in the corner, but they are expanding this way. Also, this match was started at 11 o'clock. Well, started at 11:15 as when we actually started the game. And my main objective was to survive until my birthday. So this match started on the 25th of May at 11 o'clock. And my birthday is the 26th of May. If you remember from last year, I did a big economy map for that. Well, I just wanted to see if I could survive. So all I've got to do is survive 45 minutes in this game to see if I get there. That was my main objective. It wasn't winning. That would be too easy. No, I just had to survive. But yeah, Vass is also trying to balance out what's going on over here. I caught a barracks out here from Bob. And a rocket is flying over. That hits Valithor's structures over here. That was a fairly decent rocket. If they could see more, maybe they'd have picked a bit closer in. But obviously the Fog of War is limiting them. And they are trying to stop these reinforcements coming in. Over here, Antidote is pushing against Valithor. Which, to be fair, if I was Antidote, I might have pulled back a little. Because Vass doesn't have to worry about Valithor right now. All he's got to do is hold a defensive line. And he did try and push against me, and I pushed back. Yeah, I've set up this command. We were having a bit of a skirmish over here. And he ended up asking me if I could leave him alone for a little bit, just peace, a non-aggressive pact, and I agreed because Valifor was pushing this way, and I really wanted to focus down Bob because they built down in this section now, and I couldn't quite get the units to go there yet. I didn't realise why Bob had done that, and I did find it weird that we have Bob here that I've been fighting for the majority of the game. Purple then rushes through, and I'm thinking, what has Purple been doing over there against Bob? And then Valifor suddenly appears not long after. So from my perspective, this match was fairly chaotic. But Valifor is roaming this island with a ton of tanks, which, as I said before, Valifor does love his tanks. It normally would surprise me that you can run this many tanks, but I'm assuming Valifor has quite a lot of production. Yeah, he's got 95 production per minute of energy. Now I'm trying to make sure Antidote's units don't come towards me. They do end up going towards Bob, which I didn't notice. I thought I'd either got them or they just got killed by Bob. Moving through this direction. But it looks like Bob's going to have to deal with these units down here. So Antidote has literally attacked Bass. Valifor gets nuked once again. And I think Valifor is building up a reply to those nukes in the north without having to affect his units by travelling there. And as you can see, Valifor is just pushing his units through this way. And Vass is there hiding in the forest, just watching them stroll by as they come up to this area over here. And Red has also jumped across to try and take some land from Antidote over here. Unfortunately, just before he seems to be getting attacked by Valifor, but actually Valifor is pulling back. Where my units are trying to push through in this section over here. So I actually initiate a response from Valifor doing this. I probably shouldn't have. I probably should have tried to focus a bit closer rather than encouraging the full wrath of Valifor. But at the same time, I am trying to slowly control Bob down here. Vass, fortunately for me, actually keeps to his agreements. Usually when people make an agreement with me, it's usually over in less than 5 minutes. Yes, Keaton, I'm looking at you if anyone remembers the battle I had with him in a free-for-all like this before. But Vass actually keeps to it. So thanks for that, Vass. And Vass is also building a rocket over here as well. Valathor's rockets are ready, and in the chat at about this moment in time, Valathor asked Red if this island was the only land he controlled. Does he have a building anywhere else? And there's a reason for that. His rockets can probably cover this entire island. I mean, he does have a structure over here, but it did just get taken out by Purple. And the rockets do hit, but it's not enough to quite take out everything on the island. And I did try and move my units back through this way. I set up a defensive line here just to catch any strays. Up here, though, they're just standing off at each other, but Vass is actually building up quite a large force, and the rocket is fired over. I caught that just in time, didn't I? And it takes out the majority of the defense, leaving just a few stragglers either side. So I'm assuming Vass is going to go straight in for that, and who's done this? There are commands everywhere on the map right now. Now, my audience likes me to keep on the commands, but at this point, you want it because you can see what's going on, and now I have no idea what's going on. I wish I could just turn off one players. I think this is Valifor, because they've got so many productions here, they're just sending out everywhere. They're going to war with everyone right now. So I am going to turn the commands off because it is just a bit confusing for me with my eyes. Just gives me a bit of a headache. So I'm just going to turn it off for now. And I'll have to remember that Valifor does that, to be fair. So over here, I'm just trying to defend my location when these tanks are pushing through. And they seem to be coming in randomly. So yeah, this is Valifor with all those commands being set up. And I'm still trying to take on blue. And I think when I start seeing all these forces come through, I try to make a non-aggressive agreement with light blue down here. He's in the game. He told me his color was teal, so I had to remind him I'm colorblind. But over here, I'm just trying to push through still, but I was worried because I saw a lot of air units at one point. We've got another rocket firing over this way. Still not quite taking out this rocket silo over here, so if Red was able to, they could get some production there. But the helicopters are going in to finish the job, so I don't think the color red is going to be in the game for much longer. VAS has pushed their forces up into the north, which unfortunately for everyone on this map right now, that's given Valifor an even bigger advantage. And I want to turn the commands back on to see what Valifor's doing. He's still covering the entirety of the map with commands. He's taken a few away from this section to focus the production down this way, down towards the south. As you can see, I'm pulling my units back now. There are a few tanks in this area from Valifor, but I pull my units away from Teal so that he can focus his forces up north. And I can bring my units around here. I even tried to stop my units from going through this section to give Teal the advantage to go this way so they don't have to cut through my territory. As best I could anyway. In a free-for-all, it's really hard to team up against people. And there's Vass slowly taking out Antidote in the top left corner. Red is about to get harassed not just by Hellas anymore, but by cruisers as well. I've switched to Valifor just to check on his energy levels as we play, because he's using a lot of energy units. For a free-for-all, he's focused on tanks, cruisers, and helicopters, which all of those units require a ton of energy to use. Vass is doing a good job up here, but it's taken quite a while to move these artillery through the mountains. But it is definitely the best place for them. Commandos are going towards the right, where Valifor is catching them as they stray off. And Vass is now starting to feel a bit of pressure from Valifor. And Valifor is just about to finish off Red in the top of the map there as he desperately tries to defend against these helicopters. And the majority of the forces of Valifor are being produced down towards the south. And I'm trying to use artillery through the mountains and infantry through the forest, backed up by helicopters against any stray tanks. And light blue, teal is moving up into this section here just as we planned. The colour red has lost. Valifor took out their structures, so now he has nothing to worry about over there. At worst, he has to take some land there. It's a bit of a distraction, but will get him a lot of resources. We see the white lines being drawn now. So there's these tanks coming in through this section, and they're focusing down into my units there. Bob is over here pushing forward. He's about to start encountering Valifor's energy well and potentially some forces there as well. My hope is that he will leave my helicopters alone and just focus on going north. But I do keep some units stationed over here just to see what they're doing. The agreement was I don't touch his mountains. I was fine with that. If I remember correctly, Vass asked me for help against blue, and I said I needed help against blue myself about 5 minutes ago, and that was an unfortunate rocket. It didn't really take out many helicopters either, and I think those were the main targets. Valifor has commandos being produced in the forest over here, which is going to help against Vass over there. So these commandos are pushing through in the top section towards this way. Oh no, they're not. They're coming down this way, actually, towards the forests. As the helicopters fly into this direction, Vass has brought the SAM forward, so they will be able to help with those helicopters. My forces have encountered, they've set up a nice line like this, and the tanks are straying through the middle of it, but there are just far too many tanks, and the artillery are slowly, well, not slowly, very rapidly getting taken out. However, you may notice that Teal decided not to attack Valathor's tanks there. Instead, they literally run for their lives towards the bottom left of the screen. I was panicked. They're going to try and attack me over here. Antidote has just gone now. He's lost all of his structures and he is out. And now Vass is pushing hard against Valathor. I do find it interesting that absolutely no one tried to get onto the islands of Valathor. And I even mentioned it in the game and he was like, you probably shouldn't. And I was thinking, yeah, you want us to believe that, but to be fair, he does have a fair amount of tanks depending over here too. I set up a defense in the forest in case they came straight through this way. But they didn't. This really confused me. They literally just plowed their way into the bottom left corner of the game. But now, as you can see, there are a massive amount of tanks. I want to try and use the free camera for a minute. So as you can see, how many tanks there are swarming towards my location over here, which at this point is fairly vulnerable because I'm worried that this guy's going to attack me, but he does just literally run off. As you can see, they are running for their lives away from Valathor's forces, leaving me to fight against him. And as I worry, I probably shouldn't have. I should have just let him do what he was doing and focus my units this way, but I honestly don't think it would have mattered much. But there's Vass over there watching me over the mountains. Not worried too much about me, as Vass is also, let's have a quick look, bringing their units around towards Valathor. Valathor has spotted it, look, setting up a defense there. But he's not going to worry too much. He's got tons of tanks moving that way. And he has set up on this island over here now. He's getting his city up and running, which is going to give him a nice lot of economy that he doesn't really need anymore. And my cursor's gone. There we go. So here, Valathor's on 1,800 at this point in the game. I think Vass is the only one that could compete against him. So let's check on his economy, which is 835, and I do get defeated at 50 minutes in. So I did survive until my birthday, which is brilliant. I did not expect to be honest. A rocket does fly into this section, doesn't really do as much damage. And that is the advantage to the way Valathor's attacking. They're spreading their forces out all over the map, which means that no rockets are actually going to do tremendous damage to him. As much as I don't like the style of attack that he does, it is very effective. Especially when it comes to rockets and free-for-all type games. As you can see, he's now pressing down against Bob over here, and he's actually managing to try and force his way across. But Bob is still content on just trying to hold one corner of the map. And they've literally set up a defensive line here and just decided to expand outward. Over in this section, Vass did try and attack over here, sent in the rocket as we saw, and his forces haven't really been able to break these tanks yet. Looks like he's building up some aircraft carriers. Not aircraft carriers, sorry, the transport jets, to try and send some commandos in behind the lines. Vass is taking heavy damage over here from just a few tanks in the forest. And although Valathor will probably lose this fight here, the next one and the next one after that is just going to get harder and harder for Vass. Is Bob still in this game? Yeah, he's got 2 barracks over here still. Not too much going on there though. It's just Valathor's trying to push through. I think Bob is actually going to survive this. At this point, I'm wondering who's going to survive longer. Is Bob going to be able to hold out long enough to outlive Vass? It is quite possible. He's only got a small choke point to hold. Unless Valifor brings some cruisers down here, he's not going to take this so easily. But the SAM units are just shredding the infantry up, which is actually not too bad. But I'm hoping Bob can survive a little longer to keep. I just want to see if Vass could be defeated before him, because I think it would be funny. Ooh, got a bit of an invasion over there. So the commandos were dropped in over here, but quickly dispatched because of these jets that have come in over the top. But it looks like this one is still invisible. So Valifor can't see this unit here. They're still taking the land. The cruisers are going to come around and help with that. And there's a rocket coming in straight over this army over here. And it does take them out. One tank seemed to survive randomly there. It probably took some damage. But that took out a good portion of Valifor's army. Probably the best nuke so far in the game. And I swear Bob is literally trying to push his units out of the borders. That's a pretty good choke point to hold there. Doesn't require too many units. But unfortunately, there isn't really much that can go up against him. Vass has been defeated. He resigned before Bob did. So now Valifor has pretty much won this game. There is just one choke point over here he's holding. Do he have this area over here anymore? He does. There's still that one barracks left. He does lose this corner first though. So we now only have one barracks, which is going to get taken out by these bombers coming in over the water here. And the tank. They're going to rush for it. I do wonder what the stats are going to look like for this match. Does Bob have any other tricks up his sleeve, or is that it? That is the end of the game. So as you can see, Valifor having that one island, I should have really challenged him there. I thought that Bob was going to take it because he did have some land there. And I was hoping he'd be able to hold him off for long enough. At least for someone else to win. But no, unfortunately, Valifor took control of an entire island, and that was the advantage he had throughout that entire game. As you can see, the capital he generated was 77,000 when compared to anyone else. To be honest, he pretty much combined all of ours. Maybe we beat him just when combined, but I want to know he's got a lot of units lost, but he actually produced 500 units. So he didn't actually lose that many. He only lost 18,000 worth of units. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you guys for joining. Let me know if you want me to organise matches like this again. If I do it again, it'll either be a free-for-all or a 2v2, v2, v2. Because I like the 8-player maps. Well, not maps, but 8-player games. They're quite interesting. So, let me know what you want to see next. And there are 2 videos on screen right now. Feel free to click on one and I'll see you there.